Chapter 6. It is hard to measure time in the world in between, so no one knows how long Ramar, Lydia, and Dove traveled and explored and learned together. Some say it was just a moment or two as time is measured here, and others believe it was hundreds of years or more. I'm sure it does not matter except to people who count such things, but moments are centuries. I remember that I did not see the three every day, but when I did see it, it seemed to me that Ramar was ever more wise and thoughtful. But he still loved to play, and often when he raced across the meadow, Dove and Lydia would watch from behind, as parents might lovingly watch their child. Others would watch him too, and occasionally he would stop and talk to them for a moment or two. He knew that every creature he met held an experience that he could learn from, a lesson from their lives on earth. He met a swan who could not swim, a butterfly with pure white wings, and a pig with a light in its foot. And he came to love them all. The swan was called Yolanda, and her father had named her that before she was born, she said. He told me that I was the only flower in his garden. She smiled. I did everything I could do to please him. Is that how you spent your life? Asked Ramar, and she did not answer. It was clear that her memories, as distant as they were, still touched her with regret and disappointment. Finally, in a low, wistful voice, she told her story. My father was a teacher, she said, and a wonderful, warm, and compassionate man. I wanted him to love me and to make him proud of me by doing what he asked, so I followed in his footsteps. You were a teacher too? Ramar asked her. For nearly all my life, Yolanda answered, but what I really wanted was to be a ballerina. And when I was growing, I practiced from morning until night, day after day after day. It was the happiest time I ever knew. But my father told me it was all just a dream and would never be more. So it was not more? I never allowed it to be, Yolanda said. And besides, she continued, my dancing was important only to me, and teaching important to everyone. My father, the children. It was better that I chose for them. Ramar thought about Yolanda for a long time after they met, and one day, when he was walking with Lydia and Dove, he saw her by the riverbank, and she was sitting in the sun alone. Cannot all swans swim? He asked of Lydia, and Lydia said they could. Well, as far as I know, she added, because so many things change in the world in between, you can never be sure. I know Yolanda cannot swim, said Ramar, nodding to his friend by the river, and she is the most graceful swan I have ever seen. And that was true. Yolanda was as naturally elegant as any creature in Ramar's world, and he wished he could help her be happy. She will be all right, said Lydia. She will soon remember that all of us have talents and gifts we are born with. Some have many such gifts, and others just one. And the important thing is to use them, otherwise you lose them, like a swan who forgets how to swim. But is it not more important to teach than to dance? Asked Ramar, and Lydia shook her head no. Neither is more important, she told him, because knowledge is food for the mind, and dancing is food for the soul, and we need to nourish both. Ramar had not remembered that. He had only thought of Yolanda and how she had wanted to please her father. Is it wrong to listen to our parents, he questioned, and to do as they ask? Of course it is not, said Lydia, as long as we are children and need them to guide us. It is only wrong when we let anyone, even our parents, decide what we will do with our lives once we are grown. Only we can choose what is right for ourselves. Does it not matter that they love us? Asked Ramar. Love always matters, answered Lydia. But to love your children is not to own them. You must let them be free one day to think and feel and choose for themselves, as you must choose what is best for you. All people know this. They just forget. Of all the things that Ramar was learning about life, the freedom to choose seemed by far the most important. In one way or another, he had heard its lesson from the gray granite frog, from the penguins, and from Yolanda and Lydia. "How do I know I will always choose right?" he asked, and Lydia explained that he would not. "All you can do," she says, "is to follow whatever you believe to be right." "And what if others disagree?" said Ramar. "Then listen," she replied, "and consider what they say. And if others laugh, ignore them," she said. "And if I make a mistake?" asked Ramar. "Then your mistake will teach you," said Lydia, "the same as all experiences do, both those that are good and those that are not." "But there must be rules," said Ramar, "at least something to guide us in what we do." "All you need to remember," Lydia answered, "is that whatever you give to others, you bring to yourself. If you hurt another person or take what is theirs, the harm you do will come to you also, though many times over." "And if I choose to help others?" asked Ramar. "That everything you give will return to you as well, multiplied in kind." "Then should I not choose to only do good?" asked Ramar. Lydia paused for a moment, then smiled at him thoughtfully. "That is a question only you can answer, because the only way you can grow is to make your own decisions." "No rules?" questioned Ramar. "No rules," said Lydia. "I will not be punished either?" asked Ramar. "You will not be punished ever," Lydia promised, "no matter what you do." Ramar glanced at Dove for reassurance. He felt that any lesson as important as this one could not be so easy to understand. It seemed much too simple. "All truths are simple," said Dove. "It is only when we try to change them that we misunderstand." "And the truth," Lydia added, "is that everything we think and feel and do in life either helps us grow or makes us smaller. The choice is always yours," she said to Ramar, "even when it seems that it is not. When you reach out with love and understanding and compassion for those around you, your spirit magnifies. It's like a light growing brighter. When you try and hurt others or make them think your way or take what is theirs, you diminish yourself and your light grows dim." "Can it ever go out altogether?" asked Ramar. And Lydia explained that all people and all creatures have a splinter of light within them that is a part of God. The light is their truest self. The God part of you is always there, she said. Even when you or others cannot see or feel it, it is a part of every person who lives. Even when it seems that no one loves you, or even when the things you do are cruel and unworthy, there is still the light, and there is still its love to warm and guide you, if you let it shine within you. Dove knew this too, and he shouted to Ramar to look far down the road at the small black pig who was rooting in the mud. "There," he said, "there is the light," and he pointed at the pig's hind foot. And it was true. Ramar could see it. When the pig turned around just so, in just the right shadow, Ramar would catch a sprinkle of light, no bigger than a splinter, and it gleamed from the pig's hind foot, as the flicker of a candle might shine through the darkness. And Ramar knew, as he watched, that the pig had never seen it, probably not once in all her lives. "We never see that part of ourselves," said Dove, "because it is too much a part of us." "Others might see it, though," said Lydia. "In the eyes of love, sometimes, in a hand that helps, and a heart that will not give up. It shows itself from time to time in almost everyone around us, just as often and long enough to renew our faith and promise. Ramar understood about faith, but not very much. He knew that Dove had faith, that he would one day grow teeth so he could smile, but no one believed him. He was not even sure that Dove believed it absolutely, but the little bird did. He believed it with all his might and with all his life.